The IRGC Aerospace Force released a statement today with 3 words that every Israeli Air Force planner has been dreading since this war began. Brought down, intact. Not destroyed. Not wreckage, intact. An Israeli Elbit Systems Hermes 900 Kochav, serial number confirmed by open-source analysts, was intercepted over Iranian territory, fully armed, fully loaded with sensors, before it could begin its strike mission. The IRGC says the drone is now in the hands of Iranian aerospace engineers. It has been transferred to a secure facility. The technical exploitation program has already begun. That is not a shoot-down. That is a capture. And it is not the first Hermes 900 Iran has taken. It is the latest in a pattern that now spans multiple provinces, multiple air defense systems, and a confirmed total that has crossed 150 enemy drones neutralized since February 28th. 5 Hermes 900s in a single day over the southern coast. Shoot-downs over Isfahan, Khuzestan, Loristan, Khorramabad, Tehran, Markazi. The IRGC is not getting lucky. It is getting better. Every single time. Israel has not formally responded to the capture announcement. That silence is the response. The IDF's official posture throughout this conflict has been that drone losses are an accepted cost, a deliberate choice to send unmanned platforms into the most dangerous airspace rather than risk pilot capture or the political consequences of a downed F-35. An Israeli military official said it plainly: "We absorb losses with drones, so we don't absorb them with men." That doctrine made perfect sense when the drone losses were acceptable attrition. Wreckage scattered across Iranian desert, sensors destroyed on impact, mission data irretrievable. What it did not account for was this: a drone brought down intact, fully armed, with its encrypted data link architecture, its avionics, its sensor suite, its EO/IR payload, its SIGINT packages, all of it sitting in an Iranian facility right now, being disassembled by engineers who have been waiting for exactly this opportunity since the war began. Israel traded a pilot for an intelligence catastrophe, and the IRGC knows exactly what it has. Today, we are going to break down precisely what Iran shot down and why the Hermes 900 is not just an expensive drone. It is the eye that guides the entire Israeli strike campaign. We are going to show you the cost asymmetry that makes this attrition rate unsustainable in mathematical terms. We are going to explain how Iran built the air defense kill zone that has now consumed at least 8 confirmed Hermes platforms since February 28th. And we are going to answer the question that every defense ministry watching this conflict is quietly asking. If Iran can reliably kill Israel's most capable surveillance drone over defended airspace, what does Israel actually see over Iran right now? Here is what this analysis will cover. First, what the Hermes 900 Kochav actually is, not in the press release version, but in terms of what it does operationally and why its loss is different from any other drone loss in this war. Second, the cost asymmetry, a number so simple and so brutal that once you hear it, you will not be able to look at the attrition rate the same way again. Third, how Iran built the kill zone, the specific combination of systems, tactics, and intelligence sharing from Hezbollah that made these shoot-downs possible, and why it keeps getting more effective rather than less. Fourth, what an intact capture means, not just for Israel, but for every adversary watching, including China, Russia, and every country that flies Western-origin drone technology. And fifth, the open question that no one in Jerusalem or Washington has a clean answer to. If Iran has now destroyed or captured enough Hermes 900s to meaningfully degrade Israel's ISR picture over Iranian territory, how is Israel targeting what it strikes next? That last question is the one that changes the entire strategic calculation of this war, and it is the one that the official briefings are not yet addressing directly. Start with what the Hermes 900 actually is, because calling it a surveillance drone covers an enormous range of capability, and the differences matter enormously. The Hermes 900 Kochav, the Hebrew word Kochav means star, is manufactured by Elbit Systems and is the largest and most capable drone in the Israeli unmanned inventory. Its unit cost is estimated at between $7 million and $10 million per airframe, depending on the payload configuration. But that number understates the real value of what Iran just captured. The airframe itself, 15-meter wingspan, 970 kilograms maximum takeoff weight, payload capacity of 300 kilograms, maximum operational altitude of 30,000 feet, endurance of more than 30 hours of continuous flight, operational range of approximately 1,000 kilometers. For context, the American MQ-9 Reaper, the drone most people picture when they think of a military UAV, has a similar operational profile. The Hermes 900 is Israel's version of that class of platform. It is not a disposable camera in the sky. It is a persistent intelligence node that can orbit over a target for a full day and a half, watching everything that moves without ever being replaced. But the airframe is not the story. The payload is the story. The Hermes 900's payload bay can be configured for electro-optical and infrared sensors for day and night visual surveillance, synthetic aperture radar with ground-moving target indication, meaning it can track vehicles and mobile missile launchers through clouds, at night, in any weather, communications intelligence and signals intelligence packages that intercept electronic emissions from the ground, electronic warfare systems, hyperspectral sensors that can identify materials and chemical signatures from altitude. The Israeli Air Force variant, the Kochav, carries undisclosed specialist payloads beyond even these standard configurations. Here is what that means operationally. Every time Israel has struck an Iranian ballistic missile launcher, a radar site, a fuel depot, or an underground storage facility in this war, something found it first. Something watched it long enough to confirm it was the target, to map its movements, to establish the pattern of life around it, to provide the targeting data that guided the munition to the exact right spot. In most cases, that something was a Hermes 900 Kochav. The Hermes 900 is not a weapon. It is the thing that makes every other weapon accurate. Destroy the Hermes fleet, and Israel's strikes become less precise. They hit harder targets harder because they have to, burning through munitions on sites they cannot fully confirm. Targeting confidence drops. Collateral risk goes up. The entire precision strike doctrine that Israel has been executing since February 28th depends on ISR coverage that the Hermes 900 provides. Now add this. The drone that Iran captured was recovered fully armed. The IRGC confirmed it was intercepted before it could conduct its strike mission. The weapon it was carrying was identified in earlier wreckage as the Mikolit, an Israeli-developed compact precision-guided glide munition. The Hermes 900 in its armed configuration is not just a surveillance platform. It is a weapons delivery vehicle for guided munitions that can be deployed against mobile targets while the drone continues to loiter. What Iran has in its facility right now is not a camera with wings. It is an intelligence, surveillance, targeting, and strike system, intact, armed, and ready for the most thorough technical exploitation any adversary of Israel has ever had the opportunity to conduct. Now here is the number. The number that the official framing of this conflict has been quietly avoiding because it describes a problem that does not have a comfortable solution. The Hermes 900 unit cost, approximately $7 million to $10 million per airframe. The cost of the Iranian surface-to-air missile used to bring one down, depending on whether it was the domestically produced Missar 358, the Bavar 373, or the S-300 PMU-2 system, somewhere between $500,000 and $2 million per intercept shot. That is an exchange ratio of between 4-to-1 and 20-to-1 in Iran's favor, for every engagement where Iran wins. But that is not the most important asymmetry. Here is the one that actually determines the trajectory of this war. Approximately 200 Hermes 900 airframes have been produced since the platform entered service in 2012. And that is the entire global production run across 14 years of manufacturing. The Israeli Air Force does not operate all 200. A significant portion of that production went to export customers: Brazil, Colombia, Switzerland, Azerbaijan, Mexico, the Philippines. The number of Hermes 900s in active Israeli service is not publicly disclosed, but the total is finite, bounded by that 200-unit global production ceiling. Now, count the losses. Open source intelligence has confirmed at least 8 Hermes 900 losses in Iranian airspace since February 28th. 4 confirmed destroyed, 1 captured intact, with additional losses reported over Isfahan, Khuzestan, Loristan, Tehran, and multiple sites in Khuzestan province. Some analysts have cited unverified claims suggesting losses approaching 80% of the operational Hermes 900 fleet, which Israeli officials have neither confirmed nor definitively denied. The IDF has acknowledged the loss of more than a dozen drones of various types during this campaign. The production rate for a new Hermes 900 from order to delivery, multiple years. Elbit's most recent export contract, $120 million, for an undisclosed international customer, was announced in September 2025. That contract will be performed over an extended period. The waiting list is real. There is no surge production option that replaces 8 or more Hermes 900s within the operational timeline of this conflict. Israel made a deliberate doctrinal choice: use drones to absorb losses instead of pilots. The assumption embedded in that doctrine was that drone losses would be individually costly but collectively manageable, that the fleet depth would allow continued operations even as individual platforms were lost. That assumption held in lower intensity environments. It does not hold when the adversary has developed a kill zone that is consuming platforms faster than the entire global production capacity of the airframe can replace them. An Israeli defense official put it on the record with 3 words that describe the gap between a 92% interception rate and the damage that 8% causes: better than nothing. The Hermes 900 fleet is not yet at better than nothing, but the direction of travel is not favorable. And here is the dimension that compounds everything else. Iran just acquired one intact. Every sensor, every data link protocol, and every encrypted communication architecture, every avionics system, the Mikolit guided munition integration. Iranian engineers are now in possession of a complete technical manual for the platform that guides every Israeli precision strike. Not as a document, but as a working example they can reverse engineer down to the circuit board level. The cost of that capture is not $7 million. It is immeasurable. Because what Iran learns from that drone does not stay in Iran. Here is the contradiction that the official Israeli position on drone attrition cannot survive much longer. The stated doctrine We accept drone losses because it preserves pilot lives. The implied assumption: the drone losses, while individually expensive, do not materially degrade operational capability. The drones are the shield that absorbs damage so the force can keep fighting. But a shield that is being consumed at a rate that exceeds replenishment is not performing as a shield. It is performing as a countdown timer. The national interest reported after the 12-day war in June 2025 that in a clear demonstration of intelligence sharing within the axis of resistance, Hezbollah almost certainly shared their tactics for downing the Hermes 900 with Iran. That is not speculation. It is the operational logic of the network Iran has been building for decades. Hezbollah shot down a Hermes 900 in April 2024 with the Iranian-made 358 loitering surface-to-air missile, then another in June 2024, then a third in October 2024. Those were not random kills. They were test cases, data collection. So by the time the current conflict began on February 28th, Iran had received a full technical briefing on Hermes 900 vulnerability from a proxy that had already killed 3 of them. Now look at the pattern since February 28th. Multiple provinces, multiple air defense systems: Isfahan, Khuzestan, Loristan, Markazi, Tehran. The IRGC is not using the same system in the same place every time. It is running a distributed, layered engagement network that covers the entire Iranian airspace envelope at medium altitude, which is exactly where the Hermes 900 operates. The national interest described what happened over Markazi province. Iran likely used either the Arman or S-300PMU-2 systems. Iranian claims cited the Misag 358 and the Bavar 373 in other engagements. The specific system matters less than what the pattern reveals. Iran does not have one answer to the Hermes 900. It has several, and it is improving each one with every engagement. Most critically, Iran has now demonstrated a capability that goes beyond simply destroying the drone on impact. The captured drone, brought down intact using what the IRGC described as a newly deployed indigenous air defense system, suggests Iran has developed or operationalized an electronic interception method capable of cutting the data link connection and forcing the drone into a recoverable flight state rather than triggering its destruction protocol. If that is confirmed, and the IRGC's footage of a largely intact platform is consistent with it, then Iran has not just developed a way to kill Hermes 900s. It has developed a way to steal them. That is not a shoot-down capability. That is a collection capability. And the Israeli doctrine of using drones to avoid pilot capture has, in this specific instance, resulted in something worse than pilot capture: the handing over of a complete intelligence and strike system to the adversary's reverse engineering program. The contradiction is now visible. The doctrine designed to protect Israeli capability has, in this case, directly transferred Israeli capability to the enemy. Map out where this goes from here, because there are 2 directions, and neither is clean. Scenario A. Israel continues operating Hermes 900s at current tempo. If Israel maintains the current rate of Hermes 900 deployments into Iranian defended airspace, the attrition mathematics produce a hard ceiling. The number of confirmed losses continues to rise. The remaining fleet shrinks. At some point, and that point is not theoretical, it is arithmetic, the operational Hermes 900 inventory drops below the minimum threshold required to maintain adequate ISR coverage of Iranian missile infrastructure. When that happens, the precision of Israeli strikes degrades. Mobile missile launchers are harder to track without persistent male-class ISR coverage. The targeting cycle slows down or depends on lower fidelity intelligence. Iran's mobile missile infrastructure becomes less vulnerable, not because it is better defended, but because it is harder to find. The secondary effect of continued attrition is the capture risk. Every Hermes 900 that flies over Iran is now operating in an environment where Iran has demonstrated it can bring them down intact. Each capture delivers another package of technical intelligence to Iranian engineers. Each subsequent capture builds on the previous one. The intelligence exploitation compound over time in a way that damages Israeli capability not just in this conflict, but in every conflict that follows. And the third effect of continued attrition is the one nobody is discussing loudly: the export damage. Approximately 200 Hermes 900s have been produced for over 20 international customers. Every one of those customers, Brazil, Switzerland, Colombia, the Philippines, is watching their aircraft type being systematically killed and now captured by Iranian air defenses. The moment any of those customers begins questioning whether their Hermes 900 investment still represents a sound intelligence capability is the moment Elbit Systems faces an export crisis on top of a battlefield crisis. Scenario B. Israel shifts to different ISR platforms. The alternative is to reduce or eliminate Hermes 900 operations over Iranian airspace and substitute higher altitude or lower observable platforms. The IDF has access to satellite imagery, signals intelligence from other sources, and potentially higher flying assets that operate above the engagement envelope of Iran's current air defense systems. The problem with this scenario is capability substitution. A satellite pass provides a snapshot. A Hermes 900 provides 30 continuous hours of observation. For tracking mobile missile launches, which move, hide, and re-emerge on unpredictable schedules, persistence matters more than resolution. A satellite catches what is visible when it passes overhead. A drone loitering over a target zone catches the launcher when it moves. If Israel substitutes satellites and higher platforms for the Hermes 900 over Iranian airspace, it accepts a degraded targeting picture for the assets it most needs to find: the mobile ballistic missile launchers that have been hitting Tel Aviv at an average of more than 3 salvos per day for over a month. There is no clean scenario. Continuing to fly Hermes 900s means continuing to feed Iran's technical exploitation program at an accelerating pace. Pulling them back means accepting a targeting picture that is less precise over the targets that matter most. What neither scenario addresses is the strategic signal the entire global defense community is receiving in real time. Iran claimed a total of 35 American and Israeli drones neutralized in the early phases of this conflict. That number has now surpassed 150, with the IRGC announcing after the most recent Hermes 900 shoot-down that the 150 drone threshold had been crossed. The US alone has lost 16 confirmed MQ-9 Reapers over Iran, a $480 million attrition bill in airframes alone, before calculating mission cost or intelligence loss. Russia is watching. China is watching. Every country that has asked whether medium-altitude, long-endurance drones can survive in a modern contested airspace now has a definitive operational answer from Iran. The answer is not reliably, not without countermeasures that do not yet exist at scale, not at the operational tempo that male-class ISR campaigns require. Pull back from the specific engagement over Isfahan or Markazi or Khuzestan and look at what has actually happened over the course of this war in the air domain. Since 2001, The operational assumption in Western military doctrine has been that medium-altitude, long-endurance drones own the battle space over any adversary that does not have access to advanced integrated air defense systems. The Predator and Reaper dominated the skies over Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Libya, and Somalia for 2 decades because the adversaries in those theaters had no credible answer to a platform that could loiter at 25,000 feet for 20-plus hours and kill with precision from a standoff that made visual identification impossible. That assumption shaped procurement, doctrine, training, yes, and force structure across every Western military and every military that aspires to Western-style capability. The Hermes 900 is Israel's expression of that assumption. The MQ-9 Reaper is America's. Dozens of countries have bought into the doctrine because the operational track record was unambiguous. Iran just invalidated that track record in a high-intensity conflict against a sophisticated adversary. Not completely, not without exception, but in the most operationally significant way possible, by demonstrating that a country under sustained bombardment, operating with sanctioned supply chains and years of technical isolation from Western defense markets, can build and operate a layered air defense network that reliably kills male-class drones at a rate that exceeds the adversary's ability to absorb the losses. And then it went further. It figured out how to bring one down without destroying it. The capture of the intact Hermes 900 is the moment this conflict became a global technology story rather than a regional military story, because the Iranian engineers now examining that platform are not just studying Israeli avionics. They are studying the architecture of Western-origin drone technology at a level of detail that no previous adversary has achieved through battlefield capture in a high-intensity conflict. Whatever they learn will not stay in Iran. The axis of resistance shares technical intelligence. The geopolitical relationship between Tehran and Moscow and Beijing means that exploited findings from a captured Western-origin platform do not remain a secret for long. Every Western country that flies male-class drones, and that means the United States, and the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Australia, and dozens of others, has a direct strategic interest in understanding exactly what Iran found in that airframe. Because what Iran learned about the Hermes 900's vulnerabilities, its data link architecture, its sensor integration, and its electronic warfare signatures is knowledge that transfers directly to every other male-class platform that shares similar design lineage. The old era of male dominance, the 2-decade run in which medium-altitude drones operated with near impunity because the only adversaries they faced lacked the air defense depth to challenge them systematically, is not ending in a theoretical debate. It is ending over the provinces of Iran, one Hermes 900 at a time, and now intact. The IRGC has now surpassed 150 confirmed drone kills since February 28th. At least 8 of them were Hermes 900 Kochav platforms. One of them is sitting in an Iranian facility right now, intact, fully armed, being taken apart by aerospace engineers who understand exactly what they have. The IDF's doctrine says drone losses are acceptable because they protect pilots. That doctrine was designed for a world in which the drone, once lost, was gone. Wreckage in a field, sensors shattered, data irretrievable. That world ended the day Iran brought one down intact. Here is the question that determines the next phase of this conflict, and it is not one that any official on either side will answer directly. And if Iran's air defenses have consumed enough of Israel's Hermes 900 fleet to meaningfully degrade the persistent ISR coverage that guides Israeli precision strikes. If the eyes are going dark over the provinces where Iran's mobile missile launchers are moving, then what is Israel actually targeting when the next wave of strikes lands? Precision strikes require persistent surveillance. Persistent surveillance requires platforms that survive over the target area. Platforms that survive require an air defense environment that has not already built a layered kill zone optimized specifically for the platform you are flying. Iran has built that kill zone. It is refining it with every engagement. And it now has the inside view of the platform it has been optimizing against. By the time the next major Israeli strike package enters Iranian airspace, the answer to that question will be visible in the results. Either the strikes land on the right targets with the precision the previous waves demonstrated, which means Israel has found an alternative ISR architecture that works, or the strikes land less precisely with more ambiguity, hitting what can be confirmed from altitude rather than what was confirmed by a drone that loitered at 20,000 feet for 18 hours. Watch the strike patterns. Watch the IDF's targeting language in the after-action briefings. Watch whether the claimed precision matches the damage assessments. The Hermes 900 fleet is not just an attrition story. It is an intelligence story. And the intelligence picture over Iran right now is the variable that determines whether this war ends with Israel having achieved its targeting objectives, or with Iran having survived the most intense, sustained aerial campaign of the 21st century with its mobile strike capability intact. That is the question. It does not have a clean answer today, but it will have one soon. Leave your analysis in the comments. What does Iran do with the captured drone? Technical exploitation only, or a public reveal designed for maximum psychological effect on Israel's other customers? And at what point does Israel's drone attrition rate force a fundamental change in how this campaign is being fought? Subscribe and stay with us. The next development in the air war over Iran is coming before most outlets have caught up to this one.